I had a pretty memorable night in Miami once. Sorry.
This movement that we are in is called a struggle because we are fighting for our lives.
Welcome to America.
This ain't about civil rights.
Welcome to America.
They ain't giving black people what they really want.
What's that?
Hey, I was made in America. That's why I'm out here saving America.
Power.
Black power. I like the sound of that.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Luke's Reviews, and on today's video I will be talking about Regina King's directorial debut and a film that has tons of Oscar hype surrounding it. This is my review for One Night in Miami. The year is 1964, and following on from Cassius Clay's victory over Sonny Liston, Clay is joined by Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown to celebrate. But over the course of a reflective night, these four icons discuss the current state of America, detailing their struggles as black Americans and their purpose in amongst the racial tensions of 60s America. Right now is shaping up to be open season for award contenders, and now after seeing One Night in Miami, I have absolutely no idea what the top contender could be at this point, because this was sensational. It's based on the stage play of the same name by Kemp Powers, who also pens the screenplay here. And even though it's a relatively simple premise with one predominant setting and the events taking place over the course in real time, it's these insightful and fascinating conversations that the four men have that keep you, the audience, gripped. Hearing their own tales, their own struggles, their own insecurities and worries. No two conversations are ever the same. Powers instills this unprecedented level of depth shared between them all commenting on important factors that dominated 60s America. But these same points are powerfully resonant even 60 years later today. Regina King is a tour de force behind the camera. It's through her direction that this movie never once dips, never once drags. That pace is consistent throughout. Her blocking is fantastic because it helps keep that theatrical spirit alive, but whilst also providing that intoxicating cinematic edge. But even with a terrific script and dynamite direction, One Night in Miami wouldn't be anywhere near as magnificent as it is if it weren't for those four central performances. Each of them are spectacular in their own right. Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays the revolutionary, if somewhat controversial, human rights activist Malcolm X, was arguably my favourite performance of the film. In terms of Malcolm X in cinema, you can't help but think of Denzel Washington, but what Ben-Adir does so well is not even attempt to replicate Washington, and brings this sense of resilience and calm to Malcolm, whilst at the same time clearly a demonstrable bubbling fury underneath. Genuinely think he was fantastic, and from this point on I can't wait to see his career grow from strength to strength. Leslie Odom Jr. or Aaron Burr, for some of my Hamilton fans out there, as Sam Cooke in this film, it's some of his best work. He perhaps had the most interesting of arcs because Cooke had this very contentious relationship with Malcolm X. Cooke was very much the performer who was unsure of how to use his voice to comment on the racial struggles at the time, whereas Malcolm X, well, that's what he did. And the verbal sparring between the two allowed Odom Jr. to flex his lesser seen acting muscles as opposed to just showcasing his musical talents, and it was a joy to watch. Aldis Hodge is another name who I think is on the verge of becoming a star, and I think his performance as NFL legend Jim Brown only adds to that. He is far more of a reserved character, usually piping in with a witty comment or trying to calm the situation, but he shares this amazing scene with Ben-Adir's Malcolm X that perfectly encapsulates the message of the movie. And finally, Cassius Clay himself, or as I'm sure he's better known by many, Muhammad Ali, who is played brilliantly by Eli Goree. he perfectly captured Ali's trademark boastful nature and confidence, but tapped into a lesser explored side of his character, as Powers' screenplay explores his relationship with Malcolm as his mentor and embracing Islam as his new religion, furthering a deeper exploration of the varying degrees of black culture in the 1960s. In terms of potential Oscar chances, I think that this has a very strong chance of at least getting a nomination for Best Picture. Regina King may nab a nomination for Best Director, but that category is hotting up as we speak. The film behaves very much like an ensemble piece, so I'm not too sure what they're currently gunning for at the moment, but I think it's probably in their better interest not to go for lead actor roles and maybe stick to supporting, of which I think Kingsley Ben-Adir has a very strong chance to get in a nomination there, something that I would really like to see. But my most confident pick is Kemp Powers, not just getting a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay, but I honestly believe that he is going to walk away with the Oscar on the night. Literally, my only critique is that I don't think this is going to be a film that I'm going to necessarily choose to rewatch lots and lots of times, but at the same time, that shouldn't negate any of the film's strengths by any stretch. If there was one word to describe One Night in Miami, it would be power. The power of Kemp Powers' screenplay, the power of Regina King's direction, the power of its unyielding message that maintains a thunderous presence in today's climate, and the power of each of those performances by Kingsley Ben-Adir, Eli Goree, Aldis Hodge, and Leslie Odom Jr. Overall, I'm going to give One Night in Miami an 8.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on One Night in Miami. Let me know, what did you think of the film? Put your thoughts down in the comments below. And my question to you, what film, as of right now when you're typing out your comment, do you think has the strongest chances for Oscar glory when the ceremony rolls around? Speaking right now, I think it's all up in the air at the moment. We're going to get maybe a better indication when the nominations are announced and the Golden Globes roll around, even though that they're a bit backwards thinking anyway. I would have to put my money at the moment on the Trial of the Chicago 7. I think that could do a really big number at the Oscars this year. But, like I said, it's open season. Anything could happen at this point. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.